Shabbat Shalom. Hi, I'm Cathy Distelburger, but I'm better known as Grams to our grandchildren and all their friends. So Bert and I had an amazing opportunity to be a part of this historic Israel Bonds delegation to the UAE, to Bahrain, and Israel. In my position as National Chair of Women's Division for Israel Bonds, we wanted to join 80 investors across the country and be on this historic delegation. So as I reflect on the footsteps of the Abraham Accords delegation, I'm overcome with emotion and amazement. If you can picture being in a gorgeous hotel in Dubai and hearing "Welcome to the United Arab Emirates," eating kosher food at a Shabbat dinner, it's unbelievable. It's really incredible. And we are sitting in this room with Emirati people, women and men. The men are in their long robes and their kafiyah, their head wraps, the traditional Arab head wrap. And it's amazing because they were thanking us for being in their community, bringing Israel into their lives and representing Israel Bonds. So it was truly a moment that was unbelievable. We also had warm greetings from all the Arab ambassadors, ministers, and local business people. And the resounding theme was peace throughout the trip. And they kept talking about a warm peace. It really made us feel wonderful. In both the UAE and Bahrain, the local leaders expressed deep interest in connecting with Jewish Americans and Israelis. In Dubai, Rabbi Dr. Eli Abadi and his wife Esther Abadi are actively making these connections in their synagogue. In fact, I invited the Rebbitzin to come to a delegation in November that we're running for our women's division, and she's flying to Israel to come, and the wife of the UAE ambassador are also coming. So the connections we made are continuing, which is incredible. I also recommend this documentary, Amen, Amen, Amen. It's on PBS or Netflix, and it'll help you understand what's going on in this region. It's really interesting to see. After that portion, we flew to Israel, and it was like coming home, as you can imagine. And we met with Ukrainian refugees that are being absorbed in Israel, and we heard their heartbreaking and heartwarming stories. It was incredible. So we were proud to be on this trip, and now I'll turn it over to the family historian, Bert.
Thank you. I just want to say how proud I am of my wife, who is national chairwoman of Israel Bonds Women's Division that raises $50 million and sends it to Israel every year. And as you know, Israel can certainly use it. And right now, the interest rates are 4%. So in my opinion, they're a pretty good investment. I didn't know what to expect when my wife says we're going to the UAE. I couldn't even find the UAE on a map. But I got a feeling when we were going there, flying over Saudi Arabia, it was dark outside, and I looked down, and I saw they burned the gas on the top of oil wells. So I saw burning gas on top of oil wells, so I knew I was in a different part of the world. It was a long trip. We were 1,800 miles southeast of Israel, and it's on the Strait of Hormuz, which is probably one of the most dangerous places in the world because it's where all the oil tankers that leave Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and Bahrain go through. I didn't know what to expect. We stayed in a beautiful hotel. I think all the hotels are there. The whole country is new. It was a St. Regis Hotel. We were on like the 30th floor, first-class accommodations, treated us like royalty. I was very surprised that they had services at the hotel, which they have year-round every Shabbos. They have traditional Friday night, Saturday services. They're led by Jews who work there and live there from Britain, South Africa, and Israel. I was also surprised that they have about a number of kosher hotels or that have kosher kitchens, and they had about 4,000 Jews from around the world who were in Dubai for Passover. I found that pretty unusual and amazing. They have complete religious tolerance, and they have more and more Jews there now. They have kosher restaurants, they have different minions, and they don't like some of the Arab countries, you can't walk around, but they don't hate Jews. You're safe there walking around with a yarmulke and tzitzis. As I met a guy at services who was there for like 7 years, I said, "Did you ever have any problem?" He said, "No." It was a very interesting history of the UAE. I never heard of the UAE, and that's because when I was a kid, it wasn't a country. In 1950, in the whole country, they only had 59,000 people, and there were really just 7 little kingdoms. They had no roads, no electricity, telephones. The history of the country is that they were fishing, pearl divers, and pirates. In fact, they were such good pirates that the British took over the area around 200 years ago, which is why everybody spoke excellent English and was more or less civil. They have a small Holocaust museum in the country, which I found amazing, actually in a guy's home. And it's the only Arab country that has a Holocaust museum. It's an incredibly wealthy country. The average, because of the oil revenue, they discovered oil in the 1950s. The average income of the country is $360,000 a family. But that doesn't go to everyone in the country.
It's not bad.
Not bad. That doesn't go to everyone in the country. There's only 1 million citizens, and the other 9 million people in the country are foreign workers. So all the oil revenue goes to the citizens or the royal family. So they're making $3 or $4 million a year each. It's just unbelievable how wealthy they are. They're so wealthy they didn't know what to do with their money, so they built the largest skyscraper in the world. The entire country is brand new. I counted like 40 skyscrapers. Everything is clean, modern. It's like a Disney World. Just amazing. We had different speakers come and speak to us. They really treated us like royalty. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, a whole bunch of names I can't pronounce. The head of the chairperson of the Department of Economic Development, the largest real estate company in the Middle East, a number of other very prestigious organizations. The whole reason why Israel Bonds went there is because of the Abraham Accords. And it was really brilliant what was done. And actually, the person who's responsible for the Abraham Accords is someone from Essex County, Jared Kushner. He came up while he was working at the White House and for Trump with another guy who worked for him, Avi Bernstein, tried to develop this idea to have some of the Arab countries recognize Israel. And they had tremendous negotiating skills, because the countries that we visited, the UAE and Bahrain, are really dependent on the United States military. They're right across from Iran, and as you know, Iran is hostile, and the United States has 19 Navy ships, including 2 aircraft carriers, in the Persian Gulf near them, and we have 4 or 5 military bases on their soil protecting them. Because if we weren't protecting these small countries, it would happen like with Kuwait when it was taken over by Iraq in like 1 day. So I thought that was interesting. And they developed this whole Abraham Accords theme in that we are really cousins with them. And Abraham is our they revere Abraham as a common ancestor like we do. And they say that we're from Isaac, if I got it right with the rabbi, and they're from Ishmael. And it's interesting. They had the president of both, they gave a Torah, Jared Kushner bought and gave a Torah to the king of UAE, and he signed the last letter, which is supposed to be like writing the Torah, and he did the same thing with Bahrain. In both countries we saw pictures of the rabbi in the country and giving a Torah to the king, which was, a big thing in those countries. So it was terrific for Israel because there are warm feelings between Israel and these countries. The president of Israel just went, the king of UAE passed away. The president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, went to the funeral. And it's wonderful because they're trading back and forth. They have ambassadors back and forth, and there's really warm feelings. It's interesting when you look, they say that we're cousins with them. And it was interesting because when I saw pictures of the royal family, I hate to say it, it reminded me sort of like the typical picture of a Jew portrayed by the Nazis years ago. We have Semitic origins, and they look very similar to many Jewish people. I found that interesting. Then we left there. I was happy to fly back to Israel. We met with the Abraham Accords with Isaac Herzog, who's the president of Israel, who incidentally went to Camp Ramah, which I found interesting. We met with Avi Lieberman, the Minister of Finance, and Benny Gantz, who's the Defense Minister. So as the rabbi said, it reminded me of sort of like the journey of the Israelites going from Egypt to Israel, but we had air conditioning, stayed in 5-star hotels, and had wonderful meals. So I'm sure it was a little different. So I think this November there's a Women's Israel Bonds delegation, which certainly if someone's interested, they should speak to Cathy. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Wow.